Have you ever wondered what our workshops or talks are like at retreats? Well, I have a treat for you today. This is a quick clip, a behind the scenes of one of the talks and workshops that I gave at the recent permission slip retreat in the majestic mountains of Redmond, Oregon, back in September of 2023. The topic of this talk is really about community, connection, and cleaning up our side of the street as it relates to both our friendships, our tendency to self-isolate, and our significant other. So I think you're going to have so many golden nuggets from this one. I can't wait for you to listen in. Welcome to the Permission Slip Podcast, where I, empowerment coach, mindset expert, and holistic nutritionist Carmen Oling, share with you the tools, conversations, and resources you need to write your own permission slip, take massive action, and become obsessed with your own life. Let's get started. So here's the hard part. We got stuck in that fucking box, right? We were like, oh yeah, that story that I was telling myself about not being in control of my schedule is not true. But it's so hard to get out of the box. And that's what it takes. That's why when we were talking the other day, I was like, well, there's nothing wrong with you. You just keep coming back because you want more from your life. And that's great. We should all want more. I keep joining, like I did a call with one of my coaches and my mentors right before this, who then told me, oh my gosh, you have this like huge big sense of like, you still have your go-gettedness, but there's like this new peaceful, like eerie part to you that's really coming through right now. I'm like, I know, I'm super connected and aligned right now. She goes, just remember it can be both and. You don't have to give up this boss, like, you know, good energy to be peaceful too. You can have both of it. But it's that box that we're putting ourselves in. So let me see if there's anything else that I wanted to reiterate from her story. There's always something underneath it, though. So if you've been following me for a while, you probably know I tell stories about Joel all the time because your partner is your greatest teacher. The people closest to you are your greatest teacher, whether that be family members. My sister's one of my greatest teachers. Bless her heart, kind of thing. Woo! We had a doozy recently. I was like, unshakable peace. She's talking about the meditation. Peace begins with me.
I go the other way.
Oh, yeah. However you want to do it, like, gotta have that shit sometimes, right? But there's this story that I love to tell about, we're in Colorado, so we had sold our house in Oregon, and we're in Colorado, and I moved to a place, so releasing control, relinquishing control, it's so big, like perfectionism, all of that is so hard. And so I moved to this condo, I tell Joel, he goes, he picks it out, I've never seen it before, we sell our house, all of our stuff, we move, and it's great. It's open, there's a balcony space, it's great, and I love it. And so the living room is here, it's really big open, like with the kitchen, and then you walk this way to our bedroom, which is nice. It has like this little nook right here in this desk. And so he's on the couch over here, and I'm in the desk in the little nook. And so I'm like here, and I'm working on like budgeting and finances, right? And I just look over, and he's like on the couch, you know? And I'm like, that motherfucker. Like, I'm working on this, and this is like trying to figure something out, you know? And I just look over at him, and he's still on the couch, and I was like, what is he doing? Why is he not doing anything? I feel like I'm always doing everything. Like, oh gosh, I just wish you would help me with this. So finally, I'm like, okay, I'm going to ask for what I need. Granted, this is not an example that I'm using for you to use in your own life. And I get out there and I go to him and I just say, why the fuck don't you ever help me with this? And he's like, whoa. And I start crying, and he's like, what are you talking about? He's like, the finances, like, could you just take care of it? Like, why don't you ever help me with this? And I'm crying, and I'm so upset. I'm in my victim mode, and he just needs to take care of something. And he goes, well, you've never asked me. That's the first thing. The second thing was, oh, okay, like, fine, but what else do you got? He's like, well, what do you need help with? And I was like, I don't know. And so that was where I used to end the story, right? Is we have to, if we're working with people, we have to know what we want, ask for help. We have to ask often and early. So I sat really and I thought about like what was underneath that? Like what was really causing me to, I wonder if I sit on this. Okay, perfect. God has blessed me today with cycling my cycle that used to be the full moon with the new moon. The new moon happens to be today. My back hurts a little bit. Anyway, so what is underneath that story? I could have left it there, right? But I was like, why did I get so emotionally reactive about online fucking baking? Like there's something there, right? So just like how we want, yeah, so we all want to be safe, seen, soothed, and secure. You know, this is something we learn in Flow Academy. But I sat with it for a while. Like, what's underneath that? I was lonely. I was building a business. I was part of a mastermind that year. I was doing all the things outwardly that I should be doing. But we moved to Colorado and I didn't know anybody. Joel got to leave every day because he worked at this like really fancy spa. If you've ever been to Colorado Springs and gone to the Broadmoor, you know what I'm talking about. And so I was resentful that he got to go to the Broadmoor and talk to people. I got to talk to the old man at the gym and the people at the grocery store. And I realized that in that moment, this is where like the be the ones kind of started coming in, was that, well, if I want to make new friends and have deep, meaningful relationships, I have to be the one to do it. So I started meetup groups. I started Google searching like-minded places and communities and events to go to so I could make new friends.
Sorry, so you don't feel yourself.
Oh, gotcha. And I had to be the one, right? So do you ever feel like that? Do you ever feel resentful? Do you ever wish that you had a friend? We all have friends, right? So, but let me back up a little bit. So I have a best friend, Crystal, and you guys all know her, and I've shared that most recently she surprised me. I had no idea she wanted to join Flow Academy when she did. But we haven't always been on the same level of consciousness. So what I mean by that is I was like in my magic lab, like I call it, reading, studying, hiring back in, I guess it was 2014, as my painting said, hiring my first coach, to then hire another coach, to then do all these things all by myself. But none of my family and friends were escalating at the level that I was escalating at. And it was really, really lonely. And so what I had to do is I had to start creating relationships and connections to be able to have conversations. I remember the first time someone saw, so A Course in Miracles, it's this big blue book. It kind of looks like the Bible. And someone was like, have you read that? I read that too. And I was like, what? You do? You know? And so I had to create connections, and for purposeful reasons. So we have like our inner circle, but we need other reasons for people to be there and support us. And if we don't have that, we have to go out and seek that. So I've curated a community of supportive women around me that I know that I can call if I need something. Like tomorrow, if I was like, I'm sick, show up, like come here, or you need to show up on Zoom and do this thing right now, like do it. Someone's gonna be there for me, because I've up-leveled my friendships in a way that it's people that are wanting personal growth. So when you think about the people in your life, do you have people in your life right now, as far as friendships go, that are in that bucket? Do you want that? Yeah. And what does that mean with some of our other friendships? So for example, like with my friendship with Crystal, I maintain that friendship. It's a fun friendship. I love her. We talk about everything, but there was certain things I didn't talk to her about because she couldn't really connect with it. But then it made me feel isolated a little bit because I wasn't talking to anybody about it. And I got mad at Joel because he was the only one that was there and for fucking online banking. But we isolate ourselves, and we're all doing it. I still do it sometimes. When I get in a season of fullness, I isolate myself. God prompted me, so you'll see me carrying around books like these, and these are I realized that when I handwrite things that my creativity really flows through. And we're going to have that, where I'm going to share this with you, and then we're going to talk about one more thing. And it's not anything that I plan to talk about this afternoon, primarily because it's what we all need in this room. And it's that we need to stop isolating ourselves. It's really serious. So just about as serious as getting the shit out of your shame closet. And Corey talked about it too. I didn't know she was going to talk about that. I actually didn't know I was going to talk about this. But it's really, really important. So I'm going to read you this, and what I did was I just opened this, and I was like, show me what I need to talk about, and then that's why I'm talking about this. And I've only read like 2 other pages of this. I haven't had the opportunity to read back all my writing yet. So here we go.
What's the date?
Let's see. Let me find the date, because it just has the time right there. It is Sunday, July 30th in Tulum at 3:46 p.m. I'm at Amansala, which is my favorite resort. I'm going to be there with, actually, Teresa is hosting a retreat. If anybody's like feeling really happy and want to go to another retreat next month in October, I'm going to be speaking and working with her at her retreat. It's really amazing there. And here's what I wrote. What if I simply picked up the phone and called you? Maybe I'll just stop fucking there. What if I simply just picked up the phone and called you without checking if you were available first or having a preset time in my schedule? What if I did this sporadically, yet often enough, so we stayed deeply connected? What if I always had the time to talk with the people that were the most important for me and the things that mattered the most without having to abandon myself, my health, my desires, my dreams, my goals, or my energetic capacity? Listening louder to the thoughts of others around rushing in their life, I've been most surprised by the men and their ability to naturally not rush. Then, a real estate developer turned yoga studio owner from Miami Beach, who I know the studio that he co-owned with Victoria that I go to that's right down the street from my house. Anyway, I didn't write that. But said this. He's really a nomad, and he said this when I asked him about rushing. I have so much buffer in my day, I never have to rush. In fact, my word last year was spaciousness. Spaciousness is an unapologetic unfolding from a centered place of inner peace that's within all of us. Men's thoughts intrigue me. They are spoken less than women's, yet so profound, humble, strong, yet gentle and nourishing at the same time. I believe we've been approaching our schedules backwards. What if we build our schedules based on taking care of ourselves, our single focus for our current season of life, and our loved ones, and then only say yes to that which was aligned with our deepest desires, dreams, and priorities? Each day we would be full of buffers and so much spaciousness that we would feel peace, love, and expansion every single day. Connected to our bodies and our own intuition, we wouldn't second guess ourselves or put things off until later, allowing it all to build up and overwhelm still our peace later, because we would not be rushed and we'd be able to hold on, my handwriting. We would be able to complete each task with presence, intention, and do it to completion. Within this spaciousness, I would call you and you would answer. And we would both listen with empathy and curiosity, truly tuning into what's in each other's heart. You would feel seen. I would feel seen. And out of this mutual love and respect, we can continue our day of spaciousness, excited for the next time I call you and you answer. And I will be the first to say that I wrote that for myself. Probably most of this book that I'm writing, which I cried when I read this up there because I haven't read back my writing. That was written for me. I have a date with my best friend on the calendar that constantly gets canceled. I have a lot of judgment for Joel, or I used to. Why is he not doing the things that I'm doing? I wish that he could just, you fill in the blank. So the last thing that I want to talk about is something that you brought up. I think it is really important in a conversation that I wrestled with by myself a lot. A lot of these things I wrestled with by myself, and so I like to bring them up now because it's an opportunity for you not to have to do that. That's why I build community. That's where I share vulnerably. That's why I share my stories of me being a freaking bitch because like doing crazy stuff, because then you don't have to, you can work through your stuff. You don't have to do it by yourself. And that's what this community is all about. So for a long time, I thought maybe that I was going to leave Joel because he wasn't growing as fast as I was growing. It was really hard because I loved him very much, but it was hard because like I wake up and I see, I'm on the offense, right? I wake up and I see what's possible for me. And I'm doing my morning rituals and he walks by my office door and I hear him, or he's like, oh, you have to get out of bed. Can't you just stay? Well, I want to get up and do these things that help me to feel good. And so it was really hard to figure out like, okay, what am I supposed to be doing here? Do I just leave? Does anybody ever worry about like outgrowing their person or outgrowing relationships? Okay, so I worried about this for a really, really long time. And then I had this moment, and I actually was sharing it earlier, that decision is so powerful. How many decisions do you need to make right now? Like, it's sort of rhetorical, but sort of like maybe a later question or on your morning pages in the morning. How many decisions are you sitting with? And if you just decided to decide when you first thought of it, or setting it aside using planned procrastination and just thinking about it at a specific time when you can be intentional around it, then it's not in your brain anymore. So I sat down and I was like, okay, I'm going to decide either to stay or I'm going to leave. Because there's this really hard situation that happened in our family where basically DHS got called for our daughter. Joel had to leave his job because he worked for Oregon Youth Authority. It was horrible. But Joel was in that victim story, and I heard it over and over and over and over and over. And while I felt for him, I went through my process of offering forgiveness for everybody, and I couldn't do it for him. And so the moment was, I'm growing, and he's in a victim story. And so I sat down. I'm going to make a decision. Am I going to stay and be fully committed to this, or am I going to leave? So I decided that I was going to stay. But if I decided that I was going to stay, that meant that I had to 100% release my attachment to anything and everything that he was doing, and 100% focus on being the best version of myself. Because it's really easy to want them to do something else or want them to be different or do something different because it bypasses the shit that we need to focus on. It bypasses the tough decision that we need to make. Well, maybe if I focus on helping him stop drinking, maybe if I focus on helping him eat healthier, maybe if I focus on him meditating, right? Then we'll be better. But we won't be better because a relationship isn't like this. That's not how a good relationship works. That's what I've learned. It's like this. I'm growing and I'm learning and I'm honoring my journey at the same time of honoring your journey. But I am 110% committed to this, and I've decided to stick with it. And so there is never any, like, sometimes, you get back into those old thought processes, but there's never any, like, you have to do this. And you know what the magic was? When he would go by my room, and I'd hear him, or he'd want me to lay in bed. Once we moved to Colorado, guess what? He started doing his own morning rituals. I never said you should be doing these morning rituals. And he started doing his own thing. And then once he started doing his own thing, then he could see how that benefited him. And then it benefited our relationship. And then I would say things like, can I share, I want to share this with you. This has been so impactful for me. I want to show you something that I'm doing. This is what I'm doing. This is how it's helping me. Not like you should try it or anything. This is how I could use your support. And then he sees me show up as a better person. And then he tries something. But the factor here is the decision. Are you going to be deciding to release the outcome of what they're doing? That doesn't mean, though, that you have to put up with we'll just call it quote unquote bad behavior, right?
The one thing that I like when you told me about your story with Joel is like, you don't eat the same things.
Right.
He eats differently than you, and he may not choose the same foods that you would choose for yourself, but you don't judge that, right? Like, I find myself going, you shouldn't eat, right? And I'm attaching the worth of our relationship onto my judgment of what he's doing, rather than just letting him live. And that's been a place where I've really found that our relationship has grown through going through Flow Academy, and because we did a whole 2 weeks on relationships and making sure that I wasn't, finding fault in him for what I wasn't doing, right? But also just accepting him for what he was going to do and how he was going to eat or drink or work out or not work out or work. And he shows up a better person for me because he doesn't feel my judgment or animosity.
That part. It's that part right there. And so when I was in Tulum, like full circle moment here, and I shit you not, I have never once told Joel he should be a coach. I have never told him he should work with men. We had an idea to do like a couples thing just because during COVID, we he did like a couples sound bath. He plays the sound bowls and stuff like with his massage clients. And we just did that like for fun, like shit, no one knew what to do with their time during COVID. So we did it on Zoom. So we were going to do couples things. And then it was like he just was given this gift. So you know what he started doing when I was gone? Fucking everything that I do. So he started going to the gym. He started eating better. He loves sugary candy, like gummy, like candies, right? I made him cupcakes before I left, but I make him a homemade dessert. At least I know there's not chemicals in it. But and so he started going to the gym. He started reading books. So I had went to the Hay House event and got all these books, and he got Jim Quick's book down, Limitless, that I hadn't even cracked yet, and he started reading it. He joined a coaching program online, and then he joined a mastermind, and then he started taking the steps to start his own coaching business. And everybody's like, Carmen's doing that. I was totally gone. I wasn't even home. And I came home to this totally new person that is repeating back to me like all the things. Oh, you know what I learned today? And I was like, wow, like these are all the things. And I'm not saying that, your person or your partner or your mom or your sister, or whatever, is going to do that, but they're watching. And what I wrote in here is so powerful. It was very interesting that I talked to a lot of men in Tulum, and I just listened to them, and they have so much to say, but they don't say it. What if the problem is not them, it's us? What if I just wasn't showing up and listening, actually listening? There's a difference between hearing and listening. You can hear what I'm saying, but listening resonates your soul, and you can see the person. So what if the problem is not them, it's us? And what if they don't feel seen? And what if they don't feel heard? How do you respond when you don't feel seen and heard? But we're over here on the personal growth train doing all these things. Why don't you do it too? I'm so good. Come along with me. But wait, maybe we need to check ourselves. But it really starts with the decision. You can't be on the fence anymore. If there is anything where you're like, oh, am I gonna, is like, what is, any question, you just have to decide, I'm fully committed to this. So what is it gonna take to be fully committed to this? And then speak that out loud. Hey, Joel, I've told him before, like, I just want you to know I'm fully committed to this. Like, I am on my own path and I am doing my thing, but I know he's gonna, at some point, however he does it in his journey, that I'm not judging and allowing him to go through. Because what happens when we try to do it for them? They don't learn the lesson. Remember how we said we can't have a testimony without the test? We have to pass the test first. They have to pass their own fucking tests. So what if you lived your life with as much courage, as much curiosity, and as much joy as possible, chewing your gum and riding your roller skates, and they'll watch. And if they ever want to join you, they will. You can invite them. But don't be so attached to whatever the outcome is for them. But I would encourage you to, one, make the decision. Are you going to fully commit? Because maybe you're half-assing that shit. Maybe you're the one half-assing the relationship. So if you're going to fully commit to that. And then the second thing is listen louder. See where you can dig in and you can clean up your side of the street and start doing the work, the inner work on you. Like I know now when Joel says something, and so how do you know if your ego self kicks in? So your ego self is like fear and doubt, right? And we're not going to be able to get rid of fear, but we want to clear the blocks to love. Goal, right? That's our goal. And love is where we feel joy and excitement and aliveness and everything. We feel good, right? That high vibrational energy. So you know when your ego kicks in, when you're emotionally reactive, and you wouldn't normally be. When you feel resentful or something kicks in. So when that kicks in, instead of actually reacting in the moment, you could check yourself and be like, what am I feeling right now? So for example, let me just give you a small example, and then we'll leave it here and take a break. But Joel and I were doing our morning rituals. So again, this is so fun. We're doing our morning rituals on our balcony in Miami. We can see the sunrise with the ocean. It's so beautiful. Everything's great. And I just had written something in my journal. And I do stream of consciousness writing, so I practice what I preach. And I don't know what I wrote, so I read it back to myself, and I was like, this shit's good. I'm going to read it to Joel, right? So I look at him and I go, can I read this to you? So grammatically, what was wrong with that statement? You say, yeah, obviously I can, I'm able, right? The word is may, right? So what he says though, I'm so excited, right? I'm so excited, and I'm gonna share it with him, and this is how I'm feeling. And he goes, I don't know, can you? And so what do you do?
Fuck off.
Yeah, right? What do you do? Yeah, and so I wanna react. I wanna react to that. But I took a moment to respond because he was just fucking around. So this was something, my Uncle Hike, he's passed away, my grandfather's brother. He had Alzheimer's, and when he would get older, like he would always say that to you. If you ever said, can I, or what, he would always correct you. So it's kind of like a joke. Joel was just joking. But I took that, and because I was so excited about reading this to him, and what's going to happen when I read it to him? I want a good response from him. I get a good response from him, then I feel seen. Then he says that to me in that way. He was joking. He did absolutely nothing wrong, but I'm making it mean something about me. He doesn't want to hear from me. He's being a jerk. I'm not important. Do you see how that's not him, that's me? How many moments of our life are like that? And that's the underneath. That's why thank you for letting me use you an example. That's why I'm giving these examples of like the couch story, but then underneath that, it had nothing to do with doing the online banking. It was, I was fucking lonely. I need to do something about that. So what are you going to do in your life after you make your decision on what you want to then show up to joy and aliveness and pleasure and having the best fucking relationships that you can? And maybe it means letting go of some relationships, friendships or whatever, or just lessening them and bringing something else in. But I venture to say, and I think both of you said it, is cleaning up our side of the street creates freedom in here too. Oh, weren't there so many golden nuggets in that talk there? So I want to hear, like, what was your mic drop moment? What was your moment that you're like, oh yeah, she's speaking to me? So shoot me a DM on Instagram and let me know. And if the self-isolation or the outgrowing the partner talk resonated with you, I want to invite you to two things. So hop on over to the show notes and join our permission slip community. If you're looking for other women that you want to connect to on a deep level that will support you and challenge you, that's where they're at in our permission slip community. And then if you've ever had that worry, or if you're currently worried about outgrowing your partner and you want to grow together, then click that link to get on the wait list for what we have upcoming, what Joel and I have upcoming in 2024 for couples. We're thinking couples retreats, couples meetups, couples dinner. We're thinking Miami, we're thinking Tulum, we're thinking lots of different things. So let us know you're interested and we'll keep you updated. And as always, I am so grateful. Thank you for listening in to the Permission Slip podcast.